Hi, Sifuboggie here once again, and welcome to the Way of Conscious Mindfulness. Just one quick little thing. I would just like to, from the co-hosts, and I'm sure from Brian as well, for the incident that happened at the beginning of the week in Manchester, in the UK. I'd just like to send my love, chi, and shen, my greatest sympathies and respect to those who have lost loved ones. So I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, for anybody out there who's mourning right now, and we send great love and respect. So to carry on with the show, welcome to the Way of Conscious Mindfulness, a weekly podcast and YouTube show discussing spirituality and science, balancing health and well-being with mind, body and spirit, with a Daoist twist. Dao means the way, the path, the balance. And we're not, surprise, the normal show. Each week we talk about we either have a guest. This week we have a very cool guest. And our aim is to have an open discussion, helping us find new skills, new techniques to balance our very own personal path, Tao or way. So, as always, I have some awesome co-hosts to help me along this path. And at the moment, there's only two tonight, though some others may pop up out of nowhere. It has happened in the past. So, but for right now, we have the mysterious, very elusive, the wigwam expert, the master of questions. You didn't know I was going to throw that in there. It is the questioner. Good evening, Chris Clutton. How are you, dear sir?
I am very good, thank you, Boggie. Very good, thank you.
Awesome. When is the next wigwam adventure? Is that soon?
2 weeks' time, yeah.
So he has a wigwam, just in case you didn't figure that
TP.
one out. And right then, TP. Wigwam to me. And next, turn your mic on. And next is the awesome, the mighty, the magnificent. It is Robbie Doll. It is Robbie. Good evening.
Good evening. Lovely to be here. Hello, Brian. Nice to meet you.
From your quiet backwaters. The quiet cafe you're in, not. I hope you're...
I'll mute it again.
Yeah, all right then. See you in a bit. Right. Now, finally, we have the guest themselves. Tonight, the show is The Way of Brian Piergrossi. Brian is a life coach. He's written at least 2 books that I'm aware of, The Big Low and The Wow of Now. He is also doing the secretglow.com course. I think that's right. I'm sure he would correct me if I'm not. Now, so good evening, Brian. How are you, sir?
Good evening. Great to be here. Great to be here with all of you. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, right. So, we'll start off with the question, the ultimate question. My question is, good evening. This is The Way of Brian Piergrossi. And Brian, what is your Tao? What is your way?
Well, what comes to me is the freeform nature, if you will, of this podcast, of the show. I really appreciate, and to me, that is what ultimately the way it comes down to, is being in the moment, being present, being here and now, being a clear channel for this what I often call the universal creative intelligence to move through you in the moment. And I think that's what I'm excited about, and I have a sense that that's what you guys are excited about as well, is this space of being open and available when the mind is quiet, when the heart is open, for this intelligence, this way to move through you moment by moment, And when you're in that space, sometimes we can call it something like the flow state, right? You're in a flow. You don't have to know what's going to happen next, or how it's supposed to be, or how it should be, or how it might be, or how it could be. You just are available, and you're like a musician, like a jazz. I think of it like a jazz band. You're like an instrument in the song, and you're creating your unique expression, your unique melody that adds to the song. It's interesting, the word universe, actually, the direct translation is one song, universe, one song, or one verse. So you're a part of this grand orchestra, this incredible orchestra. And when you're in tune and when you're present, it sounds like beautiful music. And when you're not in tune, and we get caught up in the mind, we get caught up in the head, we get caught up in the egoic stories of ourselves and get attached and identified to them, then it sounds like noise. Maybe ultimately it still sounds like music, but to us it sounds like noise, right? So to be aware, to be present. That's why I love the theme, the intention of the show, of the conscious mindfulness, because to me it all starts with that, and everything else is secondary to that. So that's always my kind of starting point with people is, what's most important is to be present, because here's where it's happening. It's not happening anywhere else. This moment is all there is. It's always right now, and it's never not right now. So if you want to tune in and be a part of the magic and the miraculousness, then be present, because this is where it's happening.
Hey, I'm going to jump in because Boggie's muted. Everybody's muted bar me. Hey!
And me, I can still talk.
So I think it's kind of down to me to carry on. I did a little bit of reading of your bio, and I'm really interested about that journey that you went on to get to where you are now, because it sounds like quite epic doesn't seem like the right word, but you seem to have studied so much material and drunk deeply into knowledge, and now you're here. So could you maybe describe a little bit about that journey, please?
Yeah, sure. Well, the first thing, the kind of the starting point of the journey is I had what we now call chronic fatigue syndrome. So I was chronically ill, and there was a sense of kind of, doctors didn't know quite what was wrong with me or what to do about it, but they still wanted to prescribe drugs, which was interesting. So I kind of gave up on that potentiality of getting help from that realm, and I started to kind of look for answers for myself, and kind of dedicated myself to that. I pretty much have a sense of urgency, and so through that search, I started to become aware of the mind-body connection. I had no idea of any of this. So I first realized, oh well, my thoughts have an effect on what I feel in my body. My body has an effect on my thoughts, and it's interconnected. And consciousness seems to be the root of it. So that took me into the realm of consciousness, and really dedicating myself to consciousness, and took me into teachings of the East. Yoga and Taoism actually was a big influence. Lao Tzu and Chung Tzu, and I really love a lot of those writings. They were great inspirations to me. But stuff, wherever I would find some kind of wisdom, whatever tradition or whatever, anybody from spiritual teachers of India to poets to science, whoever it was, that had some piece of the wisdom, or some piece of really what I was interested in at the core was how to transcend suffering. That was my real interest. So that really brought me into the path of studying spiritual awakening and self-realization and then self-actualization. And it's a pretty amazing, exciting adventure to go on. I think there's nothing that really compares to it.
So in a way, you kind of did the classic reaching a crisis point, which pushed you in a direction, and grew out of that. So in a way, I was kind of thinking about this earlier. It was like, if that hadn't happened, you wouldn't have had the space, the time, the capacity to go on the journey you did.
Exactly, and that's kind of what I want people who are in a crisis right now to realize. And there are people I know that are listening that are in a crisis right now. And what I want people to realize is that it's actually the time of your greatest opportunity. You know, it may seem like, oh, why is this happening to me? Why am I cursed? Why does God, whoever, why do they hate me so much? But this is actually the space where you can open to everything that we're talking about today, you know, and everything happens to us for a reason. And I definitely feel grateful and appreciative in hindsight for that opportunity in my life.
So do you think most people's problems... Sorry, but Boggie, I just want to throw this one in real quick. Do you feel most people's problems are that they're stuck in here? They can only see like out of their eyes. They don't see the larger picture, as it were. They don't see the canvas, and they can't take a step back and kind of see what's going on in the world. And it's not just them that's suffering, or whatever's going wrong in their life is so short in their lifespan that it's fleeting, if you like. I'm not explaining this very well, but
I think there's a couple things. There's seen larger perspective for sure. I think, to me, I'm fascinated by culture. So I think in Western culture we become so short-sighted. You know, it's like, you know, like you have these politicians and they're thinking of all they're focused on is like next week and how to get the best headlines in the media. And you know, the indigenous people, they're thinking like thousands of years, you know, 7 generations ahead, and they have a much broader sense of like time, you know, and time is so subjective. Time is so subjective. What's a long time? What's a short time? You know, it depends on your perspective on things. So that's one thing. And
I love that. That was when you were having that point. That's what I was thinking about. Do you think, you know, you see the personal suffering, like people having a healing crisis or a point of crisis within their lives that creates the healing to come? You think that happens in the microcosm of your own experience, but if you think that's happening on a global scale now?
Yeah, I think the personal and the planetary are interconnected. You know, the microcosm and the macrocosm. Yeah, I just wanted to say one more thing to that is also, I think and this is what I learned from Daoist teachings I really appreciated is in the humor of it and the paradox of it is really making space to not know. It's okay to not know. You know, I think when you start this journey, you want to know everything, understand everything. And it's kind of like the deeper you go, actually, the less you know, but the more you're available for this intelligence to move through you in the moment.
The more comfortable you are with not knowing. Sorry. The more comfortable you are with not knowing is what I was going to say. Sorry.
That's right, Robbie. No, you're right. And there's a great book. I think it's Tim Hoff. I know it's Hoff. Did the Tao of Pooh, and the Tao of Piglet was 2 great books. And the whole point, you know, the Tao of Pooh is being, you know, enjoying things simply, you know, almost that simple-mindedness, but you'll have such great adventures. And the Tao, a lot of the old stories, you know, I think that's a great way of explaining it. But a lot of them say about being childlike, you know, being like a baby, a newborn baby, being like a toddler, seeing everything, you know, everything for the first time, every single time you see it, you know, looking at the beauty and appreciating, you know, the wonders. And I think when you're at that level, when you're looking out, you know, in a way, Chris was sort of saying about people don't see past their nose, which is a saying. I don't know if it's in America, but definitely in England, is, you know, they can't see past their nose. And is when you can see the wonders, when you can see a beautiful sunset, or you actually pay attention to the trees and the sky and the birds, then you have actually got chance to actually see the synchronicities. Then you've actually got chance to actually see the wonders of the universe and see the signs of stuff coming your way. Because when you're so busy, when you're so focused on the one little tiny point, you're literally missing everything around you. And that's for me, that's one of the big things of Taoism, Wu Qi and Wu Wei. Do nothing and everything is done. It doesn't mean be lazy, but it means allow things to happen, you know, for things to actually happen. Give yourself time. Chris is the master of this. He is my sensei on this, of the pause. He is awesome at the pause. You ask him something and there is silence. So there isn't just one tumbleweed they'll go by. There's about 15, and then he disappears off the screen. He's master of the pause, and it was one thing. He reminds me very much of Shun. My main teacher, Shun, was very good at the pause, the long silence, because it gives you chance to think, and it gives other people chance to actually, and think themselves. Because we talk so much, we don't actually shut up sometimes, allowing things to happen.
And now we're all quiet.
Here comes a tumbleweed.
I see this so much, though, that
taking in the wisdom.
I see this so much that people don't enjoy what's just around them. I mean, in this country, it rains a lot. And I really enjoy the rain. I don't enjoy getting completely soaked through, obviously, but I enjoy just watching the rain fall, it landing, that I enjoy all the weathers, and if you can get to that point where you can just enjoy what's going on around you, life isn't that bad. And oh, it looks like Boggie's crashed out. Oh dear. So there's no real question in that. It's just, I do see people get very locked in, very narrowly focused, like whatever it is they're thinking about, it doesn't matter what it is. It's like the end of the world, and it's so bad that they can't possibly get beyond it and move beyond it. And I've seen this one person who's in my life, and they're at this point where they were at the lowest they've ever been. They'd lost the one thing that meant everything to them. 5 years on, they're now in a totally different place, a totally different space. And I could see it at the time, but you can't explain it to people because they have to go on the journey to learn it for themselves, if you like. But I was just wondering if you've got any thoughts around what I've just been talking about. Sorry, it's not really a question, but just sort of my own personal experience, if you like.
Yeah, I feel like to unconditionally love this moment, to unconditionally love this moment. And the beautiful thing is, no matter what you've done in the past, no matter how many times you think you failed or how many things you think you did wrong or how far you feel you've strayed from whatever, like the moment to unconditionally love this moment is always now. So there's always this moment to unconditionally be loved. And people think, like you said, like, oh, but when the conditions are right and when things are okay and when this happens and then the weather, when the sun comes out, and it's like, that's all in the mind. It's like, this is the moment now. Unconditionally love this moment as it is. And even to unconditionally feel, what love is, to have unconditional love means including if it feels painful, including if it feels pleasurable, including if it feels happy, including if it feels sad. There's no limitation, to love whatever arises. I think that's the ultimate consciousness that brings a sense of freedom.
This is a sort of a self-answering question, but do you feel we set our own limits? Like we've got this filter, we kind of put it down like this, and then that's all we can sort of see. I do, and I feel like for me, like that, when I'm working with people, like when I have to do coaching sessions, like that's what it really comes down to is and I think that's where it can be helpful to have support, because we have these unconscious limiting belief systems and thought patterns, and to have someone reflect back to you that, like, hey, you're limiting yourself thinking this is the way it is, but that's not the way it is. There's no limit to what's possible. And when we're just present in a vast, open, infinite state of awareness, then we're open for the magic and miracles to flow through us, and the magic and miracles that life truly is. Cool. Robbie, do you want to throw something in?
Totally agree. No, I think that's perfect, to be honest. I'm in total agreement with you. If you can be in the moment and accept everything the way that it completely is where you are and enjoy it and embrace it, you can actually create whatever moment it is you want to go from there. Point. But the world is magnificent. My apologies. I'm right at an intersection here. Sorry, but this is my local cafe. But we have infinite opportunities to enjoy this, but it takes that starting point of accepting fully the presence of this moment from here. Because if you're always wanting to, if you're never happy and I want to be there, or I want to be back there, or this was better then, or that's going to be better then, you're never going to be present. But when you master the presence of the present moment, then everything grows from that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just agreeing with you, really. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Sorry, I didn't have a question formed. Muchas gracias.
No, that's cool, Robbie. I just conscious you hadn't said, been able to dip in. So, you know, these limiting views. I mean, where do you think we learn these limited views from? Because I mean, everything we do in our first sort of few years.
Well, you know what's really interesting? This is where we start to go down the rabbit hole, because what I've discovered is that every view is a limiting view. Actually, every view is a limiting view. Like, you think of it like this: if I have a view now, there's a window here. I'm looking out the window. This is my view, but I can't see back here, and I can't see over here. I can look over here, but I can't see over here. You know, so whatever view we have, there's a view that we don't have. So I think what happens is
limited rather than limiting. Yeah.
Sorry.
Limited rather than limiting. Limited rather than limiting.
Yeah. Limited, right. So what you become aware of is that, like, okay, every perspective is a limited perspective, so it's just a perspective. Like, this is the way I'm seeing things, that's the way you're seeing things. The way you're seeing things isn't necessarily wrong, the way I'm seeing things isn't necessarily right. It's just two different perspectives. So that's what I found, like, in the Daoist teachings too. I think as you go from this past, there's so much less need to argue with anybody. It's like, okay, well, that's how you see, this is your perspective, this is my perspective. I may have a different perspective next week. I may have a different perspective the week after that. And the same thing with story. Like, you know, we these stories that we had, people cling to these stories, and they'll actually, like, you know, this is my God, this is your God, and then people will fight and war and murder for their story, because their story is right, the other story is wrong. But every story is just a story, and you kind of just realize that every view is a limited view, and in this sense of awareness, all these views just kind of arise and fall. Am I making sense?
I'm tuned into your wavelength here, because this is just like you're saying exactly what I've been thinking for a while, and just taking it a couple steps further.
You're in the right place, Brian. Yeah.
Yeah, you've taken me on a couple of steps now, so thank you very much for that. So what I was sort of getting through here is sort of the conflict side of things, because I was kind of interested in that, because I've kind of gone through that experience myself of, I'm not arguing with you. No, that's not it. I've got it now. I know what I was thinking. A lot of the time you see people who are stuck to what they've said, their story, if you like. So it's like, this is my story. Boom. That's it. Yeah. This is the truth. And and then it's almost like in society, we're not allowed, we don't have permission to sort of change our minds, to change our story, because it's frowned upon, because you're not reliable enough or something like that. I mean, I don't know if you've come across this yourself.
No, I agree. And I think for me, it's like, I think when life becomes really exciting is when you're evolving and growing and stretching, and you're having new experiences that widen your perspective. So that's another interesting thing, is like, I think when we can take in other people's perspectives, it does allow us, or take other people's views, it does allow us to widen our view, to widen our perspective. You know, if I talk to people from different cultures, it allows me to widen my perspective and widen my view. You know, and there's something about that because everyone is kind of if we understand everything's interconnected and we're all one in essence, right? And everyone is just another perspective of me. They're another reflection of me. So their perspective allows me to widen my own perspective of myself, or understand the universe more broadly. There's a great story, you guys may know it, but some people may not know it that are listening, that ties into this totally. So it comes from India, and there's these, I think 5 or 6, there's a group of men, and they're in the dark, and they're grasping, and they're trying to feel what something is. So the first guy grasps, and he says, it's a tusk, it's a tusk. You know? Other guy grasps, it's a trunk, it's a trunk. Other guy grasps, it's a tail. Another guy, it's a foot. So they're arguing, no, it's a foot, no, it's a tail, no, it's a trunk. So it's an elephant is what it is. Everybody everybody was right, that everybody was right in their limited perspective of what it actually was.
Do you feel that talking to as many people as possible is kind of the key to personal self-growth, to get all those different perspectives, even if you don't get it at the time, maybe?
I think that it's definitely valuable to talk with different people. I do think that if someone's not interested in having open conversation, if not open mind, open-hearted, then sometimes you get this thing of like trying to force people to believe something, and it's just not useful. So I think anybody that's interested in really being present and being open and sharing from a space that's just interested in whatever the truth is rising in the moment, it can be really, really expansive to engage in conversations with people from this place.
Bobby, do you want to throw anything at the stage, or should we carry on?
Yeah. So from that perspective, what is your take or thoughts on the idea of ascension of the planet and the many different levels of us ascending, and many different people having many different ideas on it? What's your take on it, on that kind of concept?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Like, I think there's two levels, what I would call the relative truth and the absolute truth. Okay, so the relative truth is the realm of relative, like as this relates to this, the world of duality. Welcome back, Boggie.
He can't hear you yet. He's still plugging his headset in.
There he is. Can you hear me now? Anyway,
I can hear you now.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much. I've actually been watching on YouTube, so I've kept up.
Great.
So it's all good.
So the relative world is the world of time and space, the world where things are changing, things are moving, the world of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the linear realm, the realm of linear time. So I think in the realm of linear time, things can get better and better, the sense of ascending, the sense of ascension, of things of evolving in our consciousness, of expanding in our consciousness, we're waking up, all of that, But I think it's also more essential to recognize the absolute truth, the space where nothing ever changes and nothing's actually happening, nothing ever will happen, nothing ever has happened, and this space, this unchanging, this essence that's unchanging, the awareness that's free of content. And from that, so there's basically two answers. There's like in the linear relative world, we are ascending, those of us at least who are on this path, ascension of elevating consciousness. And then there's the space that's the unchanging, where whatever happens in the world of form, time and space doesn't touch it and doesn't affect it. It doesn't affect the essence of who we are.
Cool, Boggie. You've been away a while. I don't know if you want to chuck some commentary in there.
Well, I'm loving it. I just want to say I've just got to make sure I say this person's name right. It's Robin. I think it's Wetty Altman.
I know Robin.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I apologize if I said the name wrong. Just saying, loving the show. Sort of having a little bit of computer issues, but we're saying, we create brain patterns that are in a rut, and it takes awareness to pull you out of that. Yeah, that's the whole thing of in Taoism, one of the things they talk about is the ox. Is the determination, is setting your mindset clear, but it's also clearing out the the negative energy. So everything, sort of things are patterns. Everything you do is a habit. Everything you do are habits, and so it's changing your habits, changing your way. So if you find yourself in a negative situation, one of the it's changing those where you perceive it, not just changing it itself, because the way you perceive it also alters the pattern itself. Does that make sense to you, Brian?
Yeah, and I think that the fundamental aspect again is like present moment awareness. So if you're not present to what your pattern is, then you'll never even recognize it. Then it just unconsciously has a hold of you. So I find there's like this stage of like, this unconscious, Eckhart Tolle would call it the pain body. This thing just takes you over, and you don't have any, like, what just happened, But you start to become present, and there's that pattern. Now I'm noticing it, and because I'm noticing it, I can watch it pass by without getting attached or identified to it, And then when I'm free of that pattern, then the next step, which I think we alluded to earlier, then there's potential to create new pattern, to consciously condition yourself in a different way.
Do you feel, I mean, you must come across a lot of people where you must go, you know what, I can help you. Do you feel like you have to snap people out into presence, or do you have to just make a judgment call and say it's not the right time to help you? Or how do you deal with that? I mean, you must walk around going, yeah.
I mean, I'm interested in your guys' perspective on this too. I mean, my sense is that I do feel that. I feel that I can help, people, many people, but I find most people aren't interested. They're I don't quite know why, but they're not necessarily interested. Like, there's another story I heard, this great story where there was this enlightened guru sage guy from India, and he's giving satsang every day, and he has these students that are listening every day. And one day he goes, he says, this is a special day today, and today, I've been trying to teach this to you and explain it to you and talk to you till you understand it, but today all you have to do is walk up here and touch my shoulder, and you'll become instantly enlightened. And nobody went up and touched his shoulder, according to the story. Point being that, like, there's something in us that, like, we're comfortable suffering because we're so used to it. We're comfortable in the sense of, because we're just, somehow it becomes what we're conditioned, and we fear change, even if it means joy or bliss or happiness or peace or freedom or love. There's something in us that is afraid of,
almost not willing to risk. We're almost not willing to take the risk of something better.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Like, here's this room you've been in for 20 years, and this room is full of suffering. And if you walk out this door, there's the promise of something else. But I don't know. I've never been outside there. I'm afraid to go out there. I'm more comfortable in this room.
Yeah,
because I'm familiar with it, even though it's suffering.
I think it's the point of I know it's like their own action. And what I mean is there's a great story in the Tai Chi world, in the Qigong world and healing world of the barefoot doctors in China, the Dragon Dog Shaman, of the golden pill, where everybody's looking for that. They're looking for somebody that can fix them.
Yeah.
But in that story, you had to go up and touch his shoulder.
Yeah.
It's the actions, your actions create the change.
Yeah.
And it's this thing with like life coaching is that this can help you through this and this, through your own realizations, through seeing things in a different way. And it's the fact that you have to do it yourself. I mean, one of the biggest things I find in the healing world, you get a lot of people who want healing from somebody else, but as a barefoot doctor, the barefoot doctor does healing, but also they teach people to heal themselves. And the thing I found in the West is that's the thing that people struggle with the most. They're quite happy for you to sort out their problems for them, but actually realizing that it's, is that everything that happens in your reality is down to you. So it's taking responsibility, like living in the now. You then get to see everything that's going on and you get to react to it. But if you're only focusing on one point of view, you're closed off, then you miss everything else. So it's this personal responsibility, it's doing it themselves. It's this action of we can, yes, there are things we can do. Oh, can you help me? Well, I can teach you to help yourself. Yes. And that's the thing I find for me. I don't know your point on that. If it's this getting people to take their own. It's people realizing that they. I think.
Boggie, can I just ask you a quick question? Is it nudging people or is it pushing people?
You're asking me? Sorry, Chris.
Anyone? Floor's open.
Sorry, is it nudging? Well, I think it depends on what you mean and who you're trying to contact. Really, I think in the modern age, I think we're subject, and the mass is subject to so much kind of negative conditioning through advertising. I mean, the whole concept of advertising is I can't sell you something unless I make you feel inadequate so that you'll want the thing. So there's a lot of negative spin on life in general, you know, and it's always something that's out there. Whereas when we turn all that off and we see the beauty around us and we see who we really are, we're already enlightened beings, you know what I mean? We just need to realize it, you know, we're already in that place, you know. There's so much negative spin just because of commerce, do you know what I mean? Just because I can't sell you that unless, even talking about coaching, even talking about, you know, what we're doing, you know, and part of this field really, is like you need fixed, you know, but that's the truth. You know, everybody is their own healer. There is anything really wrong with anybody. You know, we just need to snap out of the belief that there is something wrong with us because we are divine, you know. So yeah,
exactly.
And it can be a nudge, or it can be a push, or it can be a look, or it can be a presence, or depends upon the vibration, depends upon the individual, depends upon what they've been subject to. It's like you say about the elephant, you were talking about the elephant, you know, when you see, you know, everybody's got a different perspective of and what their conditioning is and how their belief system has been from the beginning, from childhood, you know, and then all the negative reinforcers that are there to push a point or push an ideology or push a product or push or whatever it is, you know, and it make you feel bad so that you'll feel incomplete and you'll want my product or you want my service or you want whatever. Whereas ideally, I think they are really open to the ascension. The real teachers don't really teach you anything. They just kind of let you realize that you're complete already, really. You know, you are divine. We're all divine, you know. And it's coming back to that present moment again, the never changing of the oneness. Well, that's everybody's core, you know. So I think it depends upon the individual circumstance and the individual client, student, whatever you want to call it, you know. So yeah.
Your thoughts on that, Brian?
I love what you guys are saying. That's something I feel like I've been really speaking to, putting more emphasis on, is empowerment. You know, the empowerment that it's inside yourself and stop looking outside yourself for the solution. So I feel like what I can do is I can be a mirror to reflect someone more clearly back to themselves, but only if they want to see themselves. If they don't want to see themselves, and I can't do anything, you know. And the same thing I find with the healer, the healer and the healed is a relationship. You know, so if the healed person doesn't want to be healed, then no healer is ever going to be able to heal them. You know, so, you know, when the healer heals somebody, the one who's healed was also a part of that healing because they formed a bond, a relationship that was symbiotic. And I think a lot of it, you know, there's been times in my life where I needed healing for different ailments and things. And what I try to do in that space, or not try to, but what I do, what I bring in that space, is just put my body in a state that's as relaxed and as open as possible for that energy to move through in the moment. And that's the relationship. You know, if I'm tight and I'm rigid and I'm bottled up, then how can anybody do anything to me that's going to bring any kind of healing? And the same thing when I'm in the healer role, what I'm interested in is the person who wants to be healed, that they come into a space where they're relaxed and they're present and they're open, and then new healing energy can be brought into them.
So you talked about empowerment there. So this is the process of snapping someone into presence, I take it. What's well, I think. So I've got a second part to that question. So if you want to answer that one first, and I'll throw the second part in.
No, you can get the second one too.
What does that look like? I mean, how does someone react when I mean, you're looking at them, and you must know at some point that they've suddenly come out of the program and they're there now. Could you describe that for us as well, please?
Yeah, I think that for me, like, I don't want to waste time and energy. So if someone's not interested, or they're not ready, or they're not inquiring, or they're not curious, I don't want to waste time with people. Like, it's totally fine. People have their own journeys that they can go on. But if they're interested in what we're talking about, you know, you can feel that, and they'll approach you, or they'll have questions, or they'll be curious, or maybe they're kind of feeling you out for a little while. And then I think that then all things are possible. Then really exciting, you know, transformation and change and shifts can happen. But again, like you can't make somebody change. You can't force them to change. You can't, you know, try to manipulate them. And there's not really necessary to do it anyway. You know, it's more of a dance than it is trying to like beat somebody into submission in some kind of a way. You know, it's like I said, it's a reciprocal relationship.
Here's the truth. Bang.
Where's my hammer of truth? Funny enough, I do actually have one of them.
Sorry. That can be a scary place to be for people, though, when they've been used to a certain reality, and then they realise suddenly that there is. It's like the Matrix film, you know, like, you know, the whole the bigger reality. When you open your Merkaba, when you realise that you are that oneness, and it's like, you know, it's a big thing. You know, it's a hard space to be in, I think, for people, you know, that have been used to a certain reality, a certain play. We're all having a play. We're always having a play. There's a different play in every different circumstance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the more you're holding on, the harder it is. You know, the faster you let go, the quicker you can enjoy the ride. That's a good line.
Well, it is. It's an awesome line. You should put that in your book.
That's one that what's his name, Deepak Chopra talks about when you go on a roller coaster. The interferons and interleukins, the heavy anti-cancer drugs that you can get on prescription. But if you let go on a roller coaster and you just put your arms up, you're enjoy that. It releases from your body interferons and interleukins that are really powerful anti-cancer fighting drugs. But if you're on the roller coaster and you're like, you can actually make yourself more ill. You can make yourself, you know, it works in the opposite way. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, let go and you enjoy the ride. You know.
Yeah, that is absolutely brilliant. That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
That's actually Chris at one of his qigong classes with Sifu Baschilio, you know. No, that's when somebody has a lesson with me. So now it's time for demonstration. Who wants to be that? No. But anyway, but yeah, it's this. One of the great things in the old Daoist stuff is, you know, letting go, live in the now and let go and go. I like the old saying, let go and go with the flow, or go with the chi flow.
Yeah,
is that you've got, you know, there's this great thing. Well, we sort of, I just skip back to the past for a little bit. Like there's this great thing me and Robbie were talking about in the pre-show, is that in martial arts, but also through most people's lives, you'll find that there was a big down. There was a time of illness or a time of loss, a time of grief. And, you know, you hear lots of stories like J.K. Rowling, you know, the writer of Harry Potter, you know, her life, her story before she got to even making the books, you know, is quite sad, quite horrific, the things she had to go through. But that down prepared her for an up. You know, she created those stories, then it took a great push to get those stories through. And I think it's this thing of there's an interesting, the reason I say that is an interesting thing in Chinese martial arts, where a lot of people, if you're going to get hit, they tend to brace themselves. So as somebody hits you, you tend to brace yourselves. Now, funny enough, when you do that and then they hit you, it actually, as the muscles are all holding everything in place, there's actually more chance of getting hurt and it hurting more. And that is a metaphor for life, is that if you're in the point of where things are going wrong, or the point of your chaos, the point of your grief, you're actually bracing and tensing yourself, those things will actually feel worse. So one of the greatest sort of moves or greatest things I remember for me in Chinese movies, Jackie Chan, with the drunken master, is that he was taught, you know, as you get hit, breathe out. And because he breathed out and relaxed, and the drunken master like flops, and the energy is dispersed through the body. So, and that's one technique I teach people on, like the fighting side, is that if when you're getting hit, you actually relax and flop. And there's Qigong we do called twist waist, which allows you to flop. And you do that and you disperse that energy, that force, through your body and it comes out, and even the person attacking you ends up launching forwards and losing balance themselves. And it's the same, you know, if you can sort of take that metaphor in your life, and at those times where you're angry and you're stressed or there's all this tension, if you can just breathe and just let go, which is the most toughest thing to learn for, you know, for anybody, is at the worst moments, or when you're angry and frustrated, is just to breathe and just to let go and just to let it out. But if you can do that, if you can master that, a lot of your stresses and worries will melt. It sounds weird, it sounds very magical, it sounds very woo-woo, but it's true. It happens. It does happen. And there's one more thing, there's a great breathing technique. Daoist breathing technique says, if your breaths are fast and rapid and noisy, your thoughts are fast and rapid and noisy. Your actions are fast and rapid and noisy. But if you breathe slowly and smoothly and quietly, your thoughts will be slow and smooth and quiet. Your actions will be slow and smooth and quiet. So just even breathing, just focusing on your breath, can affect the way you are and the way you're perceiving everything around you.
Can I
I think on the
Sorry, go on, Brian. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, I think on the physical level, that breath is essential. It's so essential to be breathing deeply, and in the practice of that, and be mindful of that. And you know, I was just thinking how when you're talking, Boggie, how it's so fascinating how like somebody will have a whole day and all these great experiences and all these things happen, and they'll hold on to this one moment where this person said something to them and they didn't like what they said to them, and they're talking about why they do this and holding on to it. And it's like, why is the holding, like, of all the things they could have held on to, people tend to hold on to the things they don't like, or the things that made them feel bad. Things that made them feel bad, and they're holding on to it. Then they want to get back at the person for it, so then they're perpetuating the energy even more, you know. And it's just like, at some point you just gotta, it's over. Like, it's, you know, something happened, you felt some pain or some emotion in that moment, and you know, it's like that story of the two monks that the vow of celibacy that carries the woman across the river. You know, why are you still holding on to her?
Yeah. You beat me to it. It's very much is, and that's a great metaphor. Is like the other, you know, the monk helped her and talked to her, and the younger monks, you know, stews on it for ages and goes, you know, and it's let it go. It doesn't matter. Let it go. And that's but go for it, Chris.
Quick question. From your personal journey, if there was just one thing you could say to someone, what would it be?
Oh, wow. One thing, this is a fun question. One thing I could say to someone. I mean, there's a lot of things I want to say, but I think I think love, it would be about love. I think that love is what really makes life fulfilling. I don't mean love just like romantic love, but love in the sense of the kind of the love we're talking about, the absolute love. You know, feeling the connection, the oneness with all of with all that you see and all that you hear and all that you feel and experience, recognizing that that's a reflection of yourself, and to love this moment, as it is unconditionally.
Sorry, Robbie, do you want to throw anything in there? What would you say?
I think that's the ultimate truth. I think that's what we're leading everything. Everybody's leading back towards, really, because that's what we come from, and that's what ultimately we're all going back to as well. I think that's the ultimate wisdom, really. You know, that's what the Merkaba is. That's what, whatever tradition you come from, that is the ultimate truth. So I think that's perfect. Yeah. I think that's the perfect answer, to be honest. Love, because love is all there is. We're just a manifestation from that love, having a wee experience, pretending that we're separate for a wee while, you know. And if we can access that core while we're pretending to be someone else, while we're pretending to be separate, then we can live the most fulfilled life that we possibly can, you know.
Then life gets fun.
Yeah. Then that's the point of creation. Then that's the point of you creating your life, because that's your ultimate authenticity. Is when you're coming from the place of divine love within yourself. Yeah. Did we lose Brian?
No, it's just your video. Don't worry.
Oh, I think I something with the yeah. Sorry about that, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
No worries.
Okay, how are we doing for time, Brian?
I don't know, what time is it? We're in now.
Well, we're definitely now. We're about an hour past now.
Okay, so like 5 more minutes for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. Okay. I've just lost my earphones again. Chris, have you got another question?
No, I was just going to say, well, yes, obviously, but I was going to say, time to do some wrap up, or maybe
Yes,
closing questions.
Yeah. So, okay. So, Robbie, is there any last questions that you would like to say to Brian?
No, well, thanks for coming on, Brian. It's been grand meeting you, grand chatting to you. I really enjoyed your take on things as well. I think you're doing a lot of good for a lot of people. You can feel the authenticity of your voice, your message, and how you're healing people. You know, I can't really think of a question offhand, but I've appreciated you being here. So thanks for coming. We are wrapping up, Boggie. There's a wrap up. Yeah?
Close to, yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have
Thank you
part
so
two,
much for coming on. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed your perspective.
Thank you so much. I feel the same.
Chris, any last question or anything to wrap up?
A few thoughts, actually. It's just like so much of what you said is just so familiar to me. It was kind of like, hello? Are you reading my mind? Or what's going on here? And that was just wonderful. And like, you've also pushed me a little bit in a few places as well. So that was been kind of awesome as well. I use awesome a lot. It's a great word. And it's so wonderful to just have that open conversation, like you say. Somebody who's just not got an agenda, they just want to have a chat. And maybe you can push them, they can push you. Your ideas get expanded, and it's just so wonderful. It's such a good feeling. So thank you so much for the conversation tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
And Brian, is there any last words? Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, you know what's occurring to me right now is like I've been hearing a lot of people talking about how they want more examples of more conscious men, or they want some kind of sense of experiencing more conscious men. And it just occurred to me there's 4 conscious men having a conversation, having a dialogue here that's really fun and enlightening and illuminating and playful, and I think it's really beneficial for people, and I'm really grateful to be a part of it with all of you.
I did think about something, actually. Thank you for that, Brian. I appreciate that, and I agree completely. Is there anything that you would like to, any current projects that you'd like to talk about, or quickly talk about your website, or where people can reach you, or or anything that you've got coming up that you would like to, quickly talk about while we wrap up?
Yeah, I'll just run through a couple things quickly. So there is the books, the Big Glow and the Wild and Now, that Boggie mentioned in the beginning. People can get online, and they're also available as ebooks, or the Big Glow is available as an audiobook. I do personal coaching sessions with packages with people online, so that's people can contact me for that. There is the Secret Glow online community, which Boggie mentioned, and that's a new project that I have. There's more information on that online, just a way to kind of plug in a deeper way with a group of people online and really, get into a space of deeper levels of self-realization, self-actualization, and creating magical lives together. And I have some retreats coming up. The next one is the first weekend in July, they're called the Big Glow Retreats. And you can find me online on Facebook, on Instagram, all those good spots, Twitter, YouTube. And I'm really grateful and appreciative to be here.
And I'll make sure all those links, I've got some already, but if you've got any extra links, send them to me, Brian, and I'll make sure that they're on the podcast and also that they're on the YouTube as well.
Okay,
so
great.
Thank you so much. It's The time flew by.
Time
the
flies.
now,
We're having fun.
the now really flew by.
Yeah.
So, it was
That
really
now
good.
snuck up really quickly.
That was
Yeah.
a fast now.
It was a very fast now. Yeah. It was on hyperspace, you know. So it was very much. Yes.
We were talking about you folding time. You've got to stop doing that.
Yeah. I know. Me and time folding. Yeah, that's a thing for another time. Well, actually, it could be for part 2. But right. So I'd like to say thank you so much, Brian. It was a great show. A quick one, but it was a great show. Hopefully, we're now booked all the way up to the end of the year, but hopefully you can come next year and we'll do another show and see how things have progressed. We'd love that too. Chris is smiling from ear to ear. Happy Chris means he's had a very good show. So I'll thank you. I thank you for that as well. You made Chris very happy. So
wonderful.
It's a very good thing. So right. So this is going to be for you in podcast world. You listening in your ears. Well, if you're not listening in your ears, I'd love to know how you're listening to it. But anyway, if you're listening to the show. This is the end of part 1. So this was a great show with Brian. We have gone through some really cool stuff and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll have all the links. There will be a part 2. There's a few.
Oh dear. Boggie, are you there?
You're going to have to wrap it up, Chris, I think.
I think Boggie has already done a fantastic job of wrapping it up.
It definitely has. I think you're going to have to say the goodbyes, though. I'm going to have to go as well. This cafe's shutting as well. So,
okay.
It's an absolute pleasure meeting you, Brian. And I look forward to for you coming back on again. I'm going to have to say goodbye anyway. And I'll go and find a different spot and join you for part 2. But
okay.
God bless. Thanks for coming on. Lots of love. Cheers. Cheers.
Yes, great to meet you too. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Brian, for being on the show. And as Boggie said earlier, all the links will be at the bottom of the YouTube video or in the channel for the podcast as well. So it'll be in the description there. So all that remains to say is thank you for watching part 1. Please watch part 2. So goodbye for now. Love, Chi, and Shen. Okay, if you just bear with us a few moments and hopefully Boggie and Rob will return shortly. If you're still tuned in for the Way Of, we're still waiting for the other co-host to return. So we'll just wait a few more moments.
Hey.
Hello, Boggie.
Right. I'm on the phone at the moment, so
Okay. I'm still waiting for the computer to boot up.
yeah. So yeah, it's too hot in here.
Yeah, I got the same problem.
Yeah, so I need to get another fan on this baby.
Another 2.
Yeah, another 2. So indeed. Is there anybody still? I can't, because I'm on the phone, I can't actually see any information. So is there anybody still watching?
Let me just go to have a look. Where's the screen? 2 viewers.
2 viewers.
One of which is not me. Don't think I've got it open on anything. So yeah. So are we gonna do a part 2? Because Rob said he was gonna go find another calf because the calf he was in was closing, so he needs to go find somewhere else to to be from.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to do another part 2. There's the questions and statements on the YouTube link from I can't remember the woman's name, but I think she still may be watching. So sorry, I've forgotten your name. I'll, as soon as I can get back on, I can see who you are.
Okay, I'm just gonna go see if I can get the show. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Here we go. It's Robin with Altman.
Yeah. Hi, Robin, if you're still there. Hello. We'll be redoing the show shortly. Just waiting for my computer because it's hot in the UK, and British staff can't handle the heat. We can't handle the cold. There's not a lot we can.
Well, no, we can handle it. The humans can handle it. It's just the tech.
The humans, it's just the tech. Yeah. Especially trains in the UK. The wrong sort of leaf on the track, and that's it. We're in trouble. So that's what always makes me laugh, because you look at the stuff in oh, this is new. It's showing all the live at the moment. Live now shows. So and we're there. We're live. Okay. Right. Get my head around this. So what I need to do is, I can't do it that way, can I? So I need to go back to Facebook and find it that way.
Are you trying to get into the Hangout, or?
Yeah. Yes. Okay, there it is. Right, so I'm cutting off here to pop up on the other ones. I'll see you in a second.
Okay, see you in a bit.
Oh, it actually says we've got 4 viewers. Hello.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Bye, Robin. We'll catch you later. Hopefully, you'll listen to part 2 podcast. But there we go.
Oh, she's going to see. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye. Love, chin chin.
Okay, so are we going to just sort of kick off part 2 and then hope Robbie turns up?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, can do that. Right. Have you got anything in particular you want to talk about?
I just want to talk. Oh, that's perfect, as if on time. Let's kick off part 2. I think I would just want to go over and touch on some of the subjects that Brian brought up, because I think there was so much good stuff in there. So much good stuff.
That we could have easily done 2 hours on that.
Yeah.
Easily. So right. Okay. Right. All right. So let's kick this off in just write down now, Chris. So 5. Hey, Sifu Boggie here once again, and welcome to and welcome to The Way Of Part 2. This one is actually going to be, it's going to be a review. It'll be The Way Of Brian Piergrossi review. So we're going to review the information that we had. Look, Brian had to go, but this show will be a review of it. I think I've said that about 15 times now, so I'll carry on. So we still got the mighty Robito, and we've got the mighty questioner.
Hey.
So okay, so I mean, where do we begin? Where do you want to kick off?
I loved his perspective. I think he's just spot on. I think, as I would put it, one of the 144,000 just going about his business. Yeah, an awakener, an enlightened master that's here to help. And I think you have to address everything from the perspective of the student, or whoever it is that's around you that you need to give that energy to, or take that energy yourself. We're always learning, we're always student, we're always teacher, and I think he comes from that perspective, quite a humble perspective of enlightenment, and I like his take on it. I always love that story about the elephant, because it's like, everybody's got a different perspective, everybody's got a different vessel, everybody's got a different level of their own awareness. So and I think that's perfect. And the ultimate point about everything being about love, if we can come from a heart space, when everybody's doing that, I'm writing a piece just now, talking about the collective epiphany. My guides keep going on about the some people call it ascension, or the point of realization, but like that 100 monkeys syndrome, where there's enough of an open consciousness that we have a collective epiphany, that the positive reinforces itself, whereas the negative breaks down. So if you're being negative, you'll get a couple of people that join your pity party, but it won't reinforce itself. You know what I mean? Whereas, the positive does reinforce itself. Like you will, if you go on that path of positivity, you will get cheerleaders, you will get people that have been on the path before you, and that will help you along the way, and that will lead you to the next stage of your awakening, enlightenment, and, move forward, so. Yeah, and I actually appreciate the mute thing.
Oh, wow, that was a big right there. Oh dear.
Hello?
Yeah, cut off on his flow.
Oh. Is he back?
I don't think so. I just found the whole story, the whole flow of what he was saying was just so natural. There wasn't anything forced about it. It was just like he was just talking, saying what he had to say. If you weren't interested, that was fine. I mean, he was just like, this is my message. This is what I've got to say.
Yeah.
If you listen to it, boom, there it is. I'm not going to waste any energy. I honestly, that touched me in the heart, because I was just like, it's so true. It is so true.
And you were really animated, Chris, as well. I loved that. Like you kind of came alive.
Oh, very much so.
This is the sort of thing that I think about a lot, though, is just like I walk around. I mean, a lot of my questions were sort of guided by my own experiences, because I walk around and I see people suffering, and it's like prisons of their own making, thoughts keeping them prisoner within the lie that they've built for themselves. Because as he said earlier, we build our own lies to keep us safe, effectively.
Yeah, and that's what your safe zone, and what you want is always well out of your safe zone. Your comfort zone, rather than is your comfort zone will keep you in a nice little box, and it will keep you in a nice little perspective. But what you really want, you've got to go out of your comfort zone to get there. And it's that. Yeah,
there's an expression that I've heard. It was this. Sometimes you have to do things you don't enjoy to find things that you do enjoy. It's something like that. I can't remember how you say it exactly, but it's like unless you go out and try things, you're never going to know whether or not you like it. If you just look at it and go, "Yeah, I'm not going to like that," you're never going to know.
You have to taste. You have to taste. One of Terry, my friend, died many years ago now, but one of my friend Terry's great sayings is you have to spit it out. You have to spit out what you try every now and again. Or what he meant. Oh, don't get dirty! Don't get dirty. What he meant was,
I wasn't even thinking like that.
I just had this imagination of a guy sitting in the restaurant going, "That's fantastic."
That's the vision that I got. So that means that you've got the dirty mind, Boggie.
Oh yeah, I've got a dirty mind. So, I know Baz will be. Baz will be on the dirty mind route.
Yeah.
And so will Kat. Kat will be on the dirty mind route. But anyway, but you have to want.
Sorry.
You have to be able to risk, tasting something that you're going to want to spit out.
Yes.
You have to risk every now and again tasting something that you might not like, that you might actually can't stand. It might be the worst thing, but you'll never know unless you actually try it. It's
a lot of the times, the initial experience of something though can seem as if it bulks against you, and that's the thing that you learn from the most. Sometimes the best lessons are actually the ones that you bulk against, where you think, oh no, there's no way that I resonate with that, and then actually that ends up being a bigger lesson than you ever thought was possible, or you ever thought you would have. Yeah. Sometimes it's always different. We're always changing. We're always morphing. We're always transforming.
I agree, and I think the thing that always strikes me though is this simple thing, which is people don't really get this, or often don't get this. But like, you age, the outside may change, or it may not change, but you're still the same inside. And a lot of people don't seem to get that. It's kind of like, oh, my arm's hurting, so it's just because I'm getting older. And Boggie probably can talk a bit more on that, but
I could talk the donkeys off of that. But it used to frustrate me when I was younger. Like, people say, "Oh, you got aches and pains," and now you get doctors say, "Oh, it's your age." That's Horlicks. That's total and utter Horlicks.
I think that's nonsense. Yeah. Total nonsense. Yeah.
And it's the whole thing of everything we're talking about is that if you're so worried, you're so focused on a certain thing, you're going to miss the opportunities. You're going to miss. It's like that thing Brian said is a real classic of that. You'll have somebody who's had a really good day, but the one moment that somebody trod on their toe, or the one moment that somebody cut them up in the car, they're focusing on that moment rather than all the wonderful experiences they had and all this other stuff. And it's because people are trapped. And I mean, I've been a victim of that myself. I used to do the Boggie bashes, these ice skating parties, and the first couple, people would say to me, "Oh, did you enjoy it?" And I go, "Oh yeah." But when I was at home with my partner, I said, no, because I didn't enjoy it because I was so worried about making it great for everybody else. I didn't actually get to enjoy my own. They were like they were skating parties, but like my birthday party. And I didn't enjoy my own birthday party because I was too worried about everybody else enjoying it.
And
it took a couple of years and it took a period of time to actually get through that and actually get to a point where it's like, just let stuff go. You've got to live in that whole essence of living in the now, experiencing the now, even when it's something sour. Is the whole in that book, The Tao of Pooh. There's the great story of it's one of the great story of the three wise people. You had Confucius, Buddha, and Lao Tzu. The guy who wrote the Tao Te Ching. He's a Daoist, for those who don't know. And they all drink vinegar. And you have Confucius, who drinks the vinegar, and he gets loads of sugar, and he has to put loads and loads of sugar into the vinegar because he's desperately trying to stop the vinegar being sour. Buddha drinks the vinegar. The vinegar is sour. This is life. The vinegar is sour. And Lao Tzu drinks vinegar. Yeah, it's sour. Wow, it's cool. How awesome is that? My saliva's working. It's sour. And it's the philosophy of life. In Buddhism, there tends to be this thing about life is suffering. You have to embrace the suffering. In Taoism, it's a bit of it is suffering, but a bit of it is also laughter. A bit of it is also sadness, happiness. You have all this wealth of energies, and it's hammer time. It's the whole thing.
and Buddha said, Buddha took the vinegar and he went, he spat out and he says, I got that off of Boggie's show.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. No, that was funny. That was cool. Indeed. So it's all.
Another thing that I thought was absolutely brilliant in what Brian was saying is the fact that he was talking about the whole two opposite ends. You've got the person that needs to be healed and the person who's the healer. And he was talking about the fact that really people don't need to be sort of healed in that way because they're already basically got everything they need to be complete within themselves. They just need to come out of this trap of the mind and just see the world as it is.
Yeah.
I think I've said that right.
Yeah, and see themselves as they are. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Because there is never
in that now.
Yeah, and it's those two perspectives. It's the never changing, ever perfect spirit, or love, or God, or however you want to put it. But we're also having an adventure within this as well. I was watching one of the older shows. There's a chap with a big circular tattoo on his forehead, the witch guy. He was really peaceful, and he was talking about that as well. It's like we are eternal. What was his name? Can't remember, but it was a really good show. He was really peaceful.
Michael
Yeah,
Rizal.
He was talking about a really calming presence, and he was talking about we are eternal, and we never die, but we will die, and this is the only time that we'll have this fingerprint. It's like the whole thing about reincarnation. But that's right enough. I think that's right enough. But this is the only time that I'll be Robbie in this. Do you know what I mean? This is the only time that I'll be me with my voice, with my gait, with my smile, with my, you know what I mean? Whatever. Do you know what I mean? With the way that I am. This is the only time that I'll be that. And even that is changing every year. As you get older, as you change, as you morph, it's always changing, it's always morphing. And as appreciating this present moment, how wonderful this is just, that's part of the enlightenment of the eternal mixed with the ephemeral, And I think that was a great point. I just remember hearing that and going, it's right enough, we need to appreciate the what won't be here, what won't these personalities,
But it goes beyond that. This is the thing I found the hardest to understand at first. It's like, we're here to experience. We are beings of experience. I mean, we've got all these senses for touch, taste, hearing, looking at things, to appreciate the world around us. And most of the time we spend sitting inside on our backsides doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Vicariously experiencing the world through other people's scripts.
Sofa diving.
Yeah, through other. I think that, getting out there and experiencing it ourselves. I don't know that there's anything wrong with watching fiction or whatever. I love films myself, but it's the film within the film, isn't it? The play within the play, as Shakespeare would say, And it's us embracing that, embracing the moment of it, embracing the uniqueness of ourselves. There's so many people trying to be other people. They're trying to be something else. I remember when I was about 14, 15, I was an Elvis fan, right? I was an Elvis kid. I loved Elvis because he died on my birthday, right? And I remember one of the school, when you got your school photos taken every year, and I remember going to the school, and I was right into Elvis because I had a pal and he was into Elvis. We were all into Elvis and just loved listening to Elvis. And I was trying to be Elvis in these pictures, and I was trying to do the Elvis lip thing, and I was like, and I remember we got the pictures back, and I just looked like that. I looked like I'd had a stroke or something. No offense to anybody that's had a stroke, but it didn't look pretty, because I wasn't being myself. I was trying to emulate somebody else, and I think the real authentic beauty only comes with anybody and everybody, when you're being your authentic self, when you're being true to who you really are, and to who your unique perspective is, in the moment, at this, right now. Who are you right now? Because you won't be that in a year's time. You won't be that, and you won't be here more than likely in 100 years' time in this experience, this unique set of circumstances.
That is what it is, though, because the time that we're in now is not going to come again. You're not going to get to come back and reincarnate and then go, oh, I'm going to be living in the 80s or the 90s or the 2000s or the 2010.
Yeah.
It's the experience now, right now.
You can do that in your Merkaba, but it's an altered state of perception. It's not the physical sense of who you are in this moment. Do you know what I mean? It's multidimensional, and it's not as solid as what we're experiencing just now, which is unique, which is beautiful. It's beautiful in the moment, and us embracing that beauty and accepting that no matter who you are, you're beautiful in this moment. No matter where you are, no matter what you're going through, and it can be good or bad. Or there's so many things that are happening on the earth just now. So many. We can be in hell or we can be in heaven, depending upon our focus and our intention and our belief in what we can achieve.
But that's so true, Robbie. I mean, what we think is our existence at that time. And if we think we're in hell, we're in hell. If we think we're in heaven, we're in heaven. Yeah. And we can actually just switch it like a click of a finger if we want to.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. In a second, in a millisecond, it's perfect as it is.
And this is that cool thing, because you'll get people who say, oh, that's nonsense. Oh, you're talking rubbish. And say, no, only because you say you are. Only because you feel, if you dismiss that, then you're right. Whatever you believe is true to you.
Yeah, they're right. They're right in the way that they think that, because that's the experience that they're living. But that doesn't mean that you're wrong. That just means that that's the experience that they're having. Just as this is the experience that you're having, and from my perspective, that's a more beautiful experience, because you're coming at it from a place of joy rather than coming at it from a place of put down or energy stealing, or do you know what I mean, one-upmanship, or any of that kind of stuff.
I think I think the ultimate with the ultimate points with this this conversation, the part one and part two, is this: you need to live in the now, and you need to be able to let go of the past. You know, because if you're focusing, if you're dwelling, and the past was 3 seconds ago. Anything past a second ago is past. So it's really learning.
There's something in there, maybe, Boggie. Maybe learn the lessons of the past, but don't dwell in the past.
Perfect. Yeah. Yes, definitely. Learn from it.
The past is important. It is a Sifu. You can learn.
Yeah.
But
if you don't, in fact, I think if you don't learn from it, you will repeat it. You'll repeat it in a different way with a different circumstance, but it'll be the same lesson, or it'll be the same thing. Like, well, have you got that yet? It's like the clarion call, like my books. They talk about the ring past not. There's a certain point, there's different points of your consciousness that you can only get past once you have assimilated what has come before. And until you are at that point of readiness, it's like passing your driver's test. It's like they won't. You can get a driver's license for a car, but that won't entitle you to drive a jet. Do you know what I mean? You can't pilot a jet once you've passed your test for a car. You know, it's all relevant to the stage that you're ready for, or the point of spiritual manifestation that you're ready to embody, or the siddhi powers, or whatever you want to call them. You know, the energy of the higher you that you're ready to be able to embrace and use for the good of everyone, the good of mankind, or whatever. You know.
Yeah. But
the good of the whole. Sorry.
This all goes back to transcending the suffering, the spiritual awakening. These are all things that we were talking about earlier in the show. To get to that higher state.
Yes, you know, they're like in essence they're filters, or they're, I don't like the word tests, but they're markers. You know, you go up to, when you get to a point where you can realise, you can go, I've had people in the past
points of practice. Points of practice.
People say, I keep getting the same sort of people could turn up in my life. I keep getting this happening. Why does it keep happening to me? Because you need to change something, maybe. Just throw it out there.
I think I think you've got a good point about the word test as well. Because it makes it sound like as if there's a big judgmental guy in the sky with a big stick that's going to bash you in the head if you get it wrong. So probably test can be a test in itself as a word. But I know what you mean. I think points of practice is probably more accurate, until you're actually at the point where, with me it's pool, it's like I'm always practicing my follow through or practicing my screw back, and I just line the balls up in a line so that I can, so that I know how to hit them. But I'm always learning. There's always something more to learn. Do you know what I mean? And within the game, whoever it is that I'm playing, on the different levels of whether they're a professional or whether they're a club player, or whether they're just somebody that just likes to play for fun, that I'll be able to understand where I am and how I play the game, and I'll change my game to suit that, whether it's just a social occasion or whether I'm, embracing the competitive spirit of it or whatever. But I've had to learn that, so it's all been points of practice of how, I had to go through not being able to screw the ball back. I had to keep practicing that until I was proficient at that. So I suppose it's a point of your proficiency, and it's the same with your spiritual path as well. The same with everything really. You go through these cycles, if you like, until you're ready to move to the next level, or the next challenge, or the next experience. Yeah.
Terry used to have this saying of not allowing yourself to get caught out, and what he meant by that is like a true spiritual practice, is that in situations where somebody stubs your toe or cuts you up or something happens, is you observe it. The Daoist viewpoint is that you observe that that happening, and you step back. You don't allow yourself to get caught in it, there is living in the now, and there's getting caught in the now, or getting caught in that moment. Is that when something happens, what happens to a lot of people is that they get caught in that moment, and they get dragged along by that moment, and are reacting, and that's when the aggression comes, or the frustration, or whatever. And it's this really, it's probably one of the most toughest things, is experiencing that moment, living in the now, but not being caught up, not being dragged by it, not being caught in it. So when something negative happens, you observe it and you experience it, but through the breathing, through whatever techniques that you're using, you allow yourself to step back enough to be able to go, right, what can I do here? What can be done? What can change? And that's at least that's one way I was taught of how to stop that thing, whatever it is, end up being a habit or pattern that you end up keep going back to, because I wish I did this, I wish I did that, I wish I did the other. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we're talking about the same thing. Yeah, different ways of it, and I think that's what's so great about having a myriad of different kind of teachings from many different masters, many different traditions, because you it's like that elephant thing again. You know what I mean? The Hindu teaching. It's like you can only see it from your own perspective. You can only see it from your own viewpoint. You can only see out of the eyes that you have in the moment, until you open your third eye, until you open up to the deeper understanding. But even that understanding is going to be your own personal experience of the oneness. So so it all comes, that's not just about your filter, that's about your preference as well. It's like you say, tasting different things, different things of enlightenment, different things of transcendence as well, different energies that you experience, and then are able to help people with, or able to heal people with, or however it is, whatever it is there in the moment for your,
Yeah, because this is what I mean by, like, when I talk about being a Daoist or being the Tao, it's like some people will think, oh, you mean it has to all be this, it has to all be Chinese, or it has to all be, and it's like, no, there are American Indians who are Daoists, there are Inuits that are Daoists. I've said to many guests, oh, you're very much a Daoist, because it is their way. The most important key to that, for me, to that word was, and that's one thing I've seen in the West, or people get very het up on the philosophies, and just the words of the philosophies of Taoism, or even the words of the philosophies of Buddhism or Christianity, and it's the whole point of, no, it's a finger pointing towards the moon scenario. It's guiding you, to information, and therefore that all information is good. Hence what I say about Sifu.
Yeah, totally. The manual for the TV is not the TV. Yeah, exactly. And but you'll only be able to I think it's also because of the filter. I think more and more when people realize that everybody's coming from their own personal filter, their own personal experience of how they've come to this, and you see, there are enlightened masters that are 3-year-old, and they come into and maybe in the last lifetime they were a Christian, now they're a Muslim, and now they're a Hindu, or whatever it is they're in this incarnation. They're going to be full of light anyway, because they have that idea of the truth, and it's not about any individual doctrine being any better or any more the truth than any other individual doctrines. It's like that same television that's made by LG will have a manual in Japanese and German and English and French. Do you know what I mean? They'll have all these different manuals, but they'll be saying exactly the same thing. How to change the contrast, how to change the volume.
TV still works the same, yeah.
Yeah, the TV still works the same, exactly. And it's that fundamental recognition of that fundamental truth that runs through all of these doctrines, all of these teachings, because none of them are wrong, and none of them are wholly right. You know, they're all just manuals for the same TV, and we're the TV, and we're HD.
What we didn't really get into with Brian was the mind-body connection. We started to talk about it, but we didn't really break into that, about how the mind can affect the body and how the body can affect the mind.
Yes. Yeah.
Just wondering if either of you two had some thoughts on that.
I think it's true. I think both are true. I think the body affects the mind affects the body. I've just gone on like a tome, though. I think it's yours. Take the stage, Boggie. Start talking, or I'll turn into the Robbie show.
No, the Robbie show's good. I like the Robbie show. The whole point, well, the laugh me was that you know, for me, it's this thing in the West. We talk about the mind and the body. It's the three ones. I will always talk about the three ones, you know, and spirit. Now, spirit, it doesn't have to be woo-woo. In actual fact, when they talk about Shen, which is spirit in Chinese, they're not talking at the top end. They're talking about energy and vibration, and but underneath that, they're talking about psychic abilities. But underneath that, they're talking about spirit is also thought, inspiration, and so, you know, if you want to change your life, firstly you've got to have the ideas. That's your spirit, that's your Shen. Then you've got to have the enthusiasm to do it, and then you've got to do the physical action to change your life. And so everything is mind, body, and spirit. So if your physical body is not, you know, is not strong enough, then it can affect your emotional body, and it can affect your spiritual, your thoughts, your inspirations. So this whole thing about, you know, having a healthy body, healthy mind, and for me at least healthy spirit, it's all about that balance. You need to balance all three. And health, you know, the whole healthy thing is this misdemeanor as well, because healthy doesn't mean you have to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, because in actual fact Arnold Schwarzenegger ended up having a heart attack or bypass because of the muscles, because of the way his body was so tense, the muscles were so big and tense, they actually over a period of time they put strain on the heart. Because going back to the Daoist Twist, the bigger the up, the bigger the down, he made himself super big, which meant he was super fit and powerful, but it would, in the long term, it would affect his life, which is, some say, what happened to Bruce Lee, that Bruce Lee was so super fit, so healthy, that would shorten his span, because you can't, Daoistic point of view, you can't be that extreme for a long period of time. It can't last forever. It's far better to find a balance in between the ups and downs and trying to live in an up.
I agree, For me, it's yoga.
Does that mean you have to have a beer and a kebab at least once a week?
Yeah.
Well, there's actually one of... Go, Robbie.
The middle way, yeah? The middle way, yeah? Just, you know, a little bit of what you fancy does you the world of good, yeah? But
yeah, indeed.
But I just
one of my friends... Go for it.
Sorry, buddy, one of your friends.
Well, one of my friends, barefoot doctor Stephen Russell. Obviously, a lot of people have heard of, you know, my body's a temple, and he always says, in the daytime, my body is a temple. At night time, my body's a nightclub.
Yeah.
And I love that saying. Is that there's got to be a flow. There's got, you know, if you live in an extreme, your body will be affected by that. So if you don't have, you know, if you have the whole Daoist saying of when you're tired, sleep. When you're hungry, eat. You know, so if you get a craving, it's funny. It's this really weird, funny thing I find with humans, is that you know, we normally dismiss cravings, or we sort of don't really pay too much attention to cravings, both good and bad ones. But then when a woman's pregnant, suddenly there's, oh yeah, you should listen to your cravings because that's what the baby needs. So, well, when you get cravings normally, that's what your body needs, or at least that's what it thinks it needs. Because if you know, the cravings are the subconscious mind, so you know, needing certain things. But especially, you know, like if you just out of the blue suddenly want a curry, well, it's probably that your body needs those spices to clear, you know, to increase your temperature, to clear out the flu. But if you're eating curry all the time because you're desperately craving it, then that's maybe not such a good craving. You know, cravings flipped the other way. So but out of the blue cravings you shouldn't ignore. You know, I never feel that, you know, if you suddenly you eat, you know, salad, and you know, you eat healthy all the time, but every now and again you fancy like a McDonald's, if you really want to, you know, then go for it. But living off McDonald's all the time, I would say, is not a good thing. But it's about balance. It's finding balance.
Yeah, it's about balance, yeah. But I think it definitely does have an effect on your spirit, yeah. Like you see, like having the craving for something and fulfilling that craving is different from having a practice and it being specific, because like my guides have me doing all these different fasts. And the fasts definitely have a difference on my consciousness. They definitely do. They have done from the beginning. And I am definitely more clear, more blissful, more centered, more gentle, more kind, more peaceful, you know, more in my center than I am when I'm just following cravings, you know. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with cravings, because I think the middle way is a good way to move forward. But you have to follow your own Sifu. You have to follow your own, you know, your own inner prompting yourself, you know. But I think it definitely does make a difference. It makes a difference. The mind, body, spirit, like what your posture's like. That's the thing with yoga. When you've got your shoulders back, when you're standing up straight, when you're aligning your spine, you definitely feel better. You definitely feel you are more aligned. You are physically more aligned. And then, you know, it moves on to, you know, how that affects your spirituality, or how that affects everything, you know. And it definitely does have I think it definitely does, you know, and that brings you into a different place.
Yeah, I mean, because like the spirit, or at least like, you know, the spirit, you can talk about, you know, having your posture aligned, you know, tucking the chin in, having the head facing the heaven, tucking the bum in, and you can say, oh well, you know, it activates, you know, the kundalini, and it activates the thrusting channel, and it does this and it does that. Or you can just simply say it makes you feel good, you know, it makes you more relaxed, because that's the ultimate thing, isn't it?
Yeah. However you want to put it, yeah. I mean, whatever it is that you want to experience within that understanding, yeah, definitely, yeah. Because there's different ways of describing it. It's like it's going back to the TV again. I quite like that analogy, actually. Yeah.
That's good one. Yeah. Is that your book?
It's going to be now. It's definitely going to be now.
Yeah. And also, I want to see somewhere in your book about Buddha spitting out, and he got that from the Boggie show, from the Way of Conscious Mindfulness. That's got to be in the book somewhere.
So funny, man. So funny. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Right. Have you guys got anything else, or we might wrap this one up as a short one? Got anything else?
I'm going to have to go anyway. I'm going to have to go. My girlfriend's just messaged me. I can see that she's just messaged me. So she's everything's cool. So everything's cool. So the plumbing problem's all sorted, and we're all cool.
That's awesome. Okay, right. Okay, so Robbie, have you got anything to say? Any final comments?
No, I really enjoyed tonight. Really, as always, great company, guys. Good tune the fat way. It was great talking with Brian earlier. A great guy, deep in his centre. You know, good spiritual master, helping lots of people, and been great tuning the fat with you guys as well for the last hour. A bit different tonight. I'm out and about. This is the out and about Robbie in a cafe, and now on the prom. This is me on the prom.
Yeah. Live from the prom.
Live from the prom.
Awesome.
Our man on location, Robbie.
On location.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of people
Well,
walking past looking at me like I'm half daft. Yeah.
yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Hey, actually, Chris, you know, have you heard the old "Where's Boggie"? It's "Where's Robbie?" You know, and tonight, where's Robbie from? So that'd be quite cool. But anyway, I digress. So, Chris, any last words? Any last comments?
Yeah, I'm just like Robbie, really. I just share the same sentiments. It's been great. The thoughts, the questions, the ideas that were expressed tonight. I think there was a lot of good stuff there. And if someone wants to know more, they should tune into part 1 and the beginning of part 2. But yes,
what he said.
I'm not going to repeat it all. But yes,
Yeah, what he said. Right. Well, so yeah, I mean, guys, it's been an awesome show. I've really enjoyed it. I mean, it's hot in the UK, and my computer's died twice. Was it 3 times? Can't remember now. But it's been twice. Yeah, it's been an awesome show. Next week we have one of our co-hosts is actually going to be the guest. That will confuse Chris. Is next week it will be Mystic Shoy, it will be Sharon Sudabi, and Water Alchemy. Don't forget Water Alchemy. It will be her show next week, so we'll be talking about Water Alchemy, and we'll be talking about her other projects. And then the week after, in 2 weeks' time, it will be the big 1 year. It will be the 1 year anniversary for the show, and I honestly have no idea who's going to turn. Well, actually, I do know one person who's going to turn up, but I'll tell you guys off air. But I knew one person will have, who was a guest on a past show, on a show that both Chris and Ethan was on. So there will be one person on co-host, but I want it to be a bit like a Google Hangout and just have a mass of people and just see where it goes. And we might even, we might even have Baz. I don't know. Well, I say that now. I'll pressurize him. I'll try to Jedi mind trick him. But anyway, so I'm digressing. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Tune in next week for the next show. Otherwise, take care. Bye for now from the wonderful Chris Classen.
Goodbye.
He's saying goodbye. AKA the questioner, the wonderful Robbie Law.
Oh, hey! Yeah.
Hey.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching and listening if you're on podcast. So take care. Bye for now. Love, Chi, and Shen from all of us from the Way of Conscious Mindfulness.